What's going on, everybody? I'm back with another video, and today's video is going to be about numerical superiority, moving through the thirds of the field. So I might break this video up into 1, 2, or 3 parts. I haven't decided yet. We're going to see how long this one goes for. But before we start, like and subscribe to the channel. It's been an awfully big help, and I really appreciate it from everybody, so thank you for that. But let's not waste too much time. Let's get right into the content of the video. So today's video is going to be about numerical superiority, and we're going to move through each third of the field to see how that changes. But when we're building from the back, we have an even bigger advantage. One, because the more space that's involved and the lack of compactness from the defense. And two, we have our goalkeeper, who is often used in the modern game, and he adds another +1 player. And the first thing to really notice is the defense has a +1 numerical superiority, which is pretty common in their back four against a front three. So this is a really common scenario. So not only do they lose a player here, but now we gain a player by using our goalkeeper. And this is really important because it gives the team so many more options as they begin to play forward. So I just highlighted that, and that's always a key thing to think about when you're playing, because that'll change the spaces and the number dynamics throughout the field. And so the first line we have is we have a 3 players in build-up, both players in half spaces, and the goalkeeper occupying the center corridor. And we have a single pivot. Now, a lot of teams have been going with double pivots. I think that's more effective against the front 3, but it also is more effective to go with a double pivot to decrease the amount of space between the first and second line in terms of passing distance, because it allows the ball to move quicker and allows the ball to change direction faster. So, with that being said, we're going to continue with a single pivot, and we might give one example of a double pivot. As we change maybe the defense to a 4-3-3, as we see there in a 4-2-2-2, which is a pretty common formation. I'd say 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 tends to be a bit more common, but either way, still same idea, same principles. You just have to apply them to different scenarios. So as we play out, we play the first line pass, and this is when we get a sense of how the defense is going to press. Are they going to press, one, using the 10's cover shadow and blocking off circulation to the goalkeeper, and then their team will slide over, shift over accordingly. And now when this happens, we see the spaces then with the pivot, with our pivot. And with here, he's not directly accessible because of the use of a cover shadow, and it can be pretty dangerous, and if you don't have the right center back to drive forward and beat the cover shadow to play there, then we will probably have to take a safer route and take that into consideration. So our attacking midfielders will start high, exaggerating the distances between so it'll stretch the distances between the defense. So the center mids will adjust themselves to be deeper, or if they stay there, this will just create an advantage because now this player, the blue 8, will have a greater chance to build momentum as the ball is being played, so he will arrive from the 6's blind side. So one, because of the rule of split attention, he can't focus on both players well, so he'll have to prioritize, or he'll focus on both players but just not have a clear grasp on them. So he'll be at a disadvantage because he has to focus on 2 different spaces at once, and this player, he'll be at an advantage because he'll be able to move dynamically into the space, get there quicker where this guy is standing still, and then now this allows for the third man movement. He can even adjust. And so then we start able to go forward. And then from here, the back four is pinned by our 3 forwards. And now we can look at our number situation after the first line. So we have our two fullbacks. I will circle all the players. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then they have their 4 midfielders who I will connect. Just connecting their shape. So we see here the advantage we've created. Right here. So now with our free player on the ball, he's able to progress the ball upfield, and now the defense will have to change their shape to somehow stop progression. So usually that means getting more narrow and now conceding space into the wide areas. But our attacking midfielders can go higher, and a lot of times this forces them to drop off, and now the wide area is available to be played in, or so on. But these things are more based on the opponent you're playing against, and then the defense can drop, and now we'd move into the midfield third, and if progression couldn't be continued, or different concepts are better suited for your team to progress in the midfield third against a specific opponent, then you can either slow down the pace, increase the pace, and different principles. So then you start attacking against a mid block. So that was just one example. So I think I decided to break this video up into a few parts, and this part is just going to be about the first third initial build-up phase against a high block. So we just did a 4-2-2 with 2 center strikers, but now I think it's important that we do a 4-3-3, pressing with 3 more narrow front 3, and to see how the numbers change. And we can do a modern day. Usually teams only play with a single pivot, and this high block, the reason why I did a single pivot with 2 players in front of him is it just does create a bit more staggering, so it makes it a bit harder for the defense to build out of, as we see here. So the use of cover shadows, I know I've talked about this before in other videos. So the use of cover shadows and with cover, so the cover shadows will be used by the front 3, and then the players, the 8s, the attacking midfielders, will be covering their blind spots where their cover shadow does not cover. Okay, and then from here, a very common thing is now we just go to a double pivot. And what this does, it places players between each of the players in the front line, and to accommodate this, we can still have center access. So now we have a 4-man asymmetric midfield. So we have access in both half spaces beyond the team's second line of pressure, between the lines of their defenders and their midfields. And this just makes it harder, gives us players in a more connected area, and is able to link play further up the field. So this is the picture, and now we have a 3-2 build-up against their initial front 3. And one thing, I'll base this on Liverpool's pressing system over the past two seasons in red. So the ball will be played, and Liverpool's wingers would press from out to in, forcing the ball narrow. Firmino would come, use his cover shadow, and Mane or Salah would come in the middle, so it would force the team in possession to kind of play through the center into chaos, and one of their midfielders would jump as they shift across. And so the double pivot here, again, it kind of works well against this sort of pressing system, because even though the numbers advantage isn't directly created on the first line, we still have our goalkeeper who's free. although he won't have as much time with players like Firmino, and that would be Salah on the right coming to press, but it would create the advantage here. So now it would draw them forward, and then now the space would be beyond, and the superiority would actually be on the weak side wide area if it could be found. Because with three midfielders, you have a less of a horizontal presence to get more players in and around the ball to press the first line. So just wanted to show you this quick video and introduce the concept, and then we can talk about other variations from building from the back using numerical superiority, and then going forward we can do the midfield third and attacking the low block via numerical superiority as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I don't think I mentioned this actually, was we still have superiority in this area with our 3-2 shape, as they're only pressing with 4 players. So our free man will be the player in which we look to launch and take advantage and break the first line of pressure through. So our free man here won't necessarily be the person we progress through, unless of course our winger, the Salah as we called it, presses, then we can be out. But oftentimes we see teams now use the free man, their goalkeeper, to look to advance the ball via a pass into the next line. So just want to make that point quick because I didn't know if that was clear or not. But another quick note, I am going to be creating game models for each team in the top flight. So in the Premier League, La Liga, Bundesliga, teams like that, I just want to do a couple videos on their game models and how they play in each third of the field and in each phase of the game. So be on the lookout for that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys for the next video.